that broke my heart, that 35% more prescription drugs for antidepressants right now this last month. And I just want you know, you deal with people all the time going through so many difficult journeys, and you know, of course, how to prescribe medicine, but you also know how to help people with their heart and their spirit. And that's what I want to do. I want to reach out and give hope to help people learn how to find those tools inside themselves to help them flip that light switch on to their joy, because a lot of us are enjoying the isolation now. It's been good for me. That's the way I'm built. I've been too busy otherwise, right? So this has given me the space to integrate my thoughts in my mind and to feel purposed, you know?
Absolutely.
The research that I'm doing, the people that are coming together to help, that care so deeply, has made such a difference in my life and my joy. So
absolutely.
Can we talk about that? Because I think when people feel purposed, it immediately gives them reason to live.
100%. Completely agreed. And I have also treating so many patients through this. So there are people going through so many different things, but I think you're exactly right that having that sense of purpose and meaning, like, why are you doing all this? Are we going to get to the other side? And really, why am I even here on earth? You know, being here and in a way being quarantined, having to be inside, it forces us, just like you said, Marla, to have to go inside, to really go inside your soul and start to ask those questions and be with yourself in a way that you really haven't either had the chance to, haven't made the time for, and really just, you know, haven't been forced to do in so long. And so that's why, although this is so difficult and this is going to, you know, be shifting us radically, it's also going to be changing us individually and collectively. It's going to help us to elevate our consciousness and transform all of us. And the meaning and purpose question, I think at the end of all this, we're going to have different answers to the questions of why am I here? Who am I? Because we're creating a new normal, and our conceptions of ourselves and what we want to do and why we're here are shifting dramatically every day with all of this happening.
Yes, it's true. And the things that we're learning on our own, I've been alone in this apartment for, I don't know, almost a couple of months. And I said to Anna, because she's married to a wonderful man I adore, who's a filmmaker, and we were chatting about our discussion. He goes, I'm trying to get the lighting right for Anna. I'm like, I think I need one of you. I'm like, I'll light a few extra candles and turn some lamps on. And but so this is a new normal for us, learning how to share in this way with people, and it makes me feel, you know, feel like, you know, our audience that's watching is wishing us well as we're here to offer them something more, and I just want to thank them all for that.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here. And really, the question is, you know, how do we use this time to grow, evolve, and transform? It's such a difficult time. It's a time with so much uncertainty. It's a time of peril in many ways. I think probably we all know somebody who unfortunately has been either really detrimentally affected or even lost their life due to COVID and this pandemic. Today, Marla and I were both part of a memorial for a dear friend of both of ours, Dr. Frank Gabriel, who was one of the first doctors to pass away from COVID here in the US, here actually in New York City. He was an emergency room physician, and he didn't just leave behind a beloved husband and a life. He left behind a legacy of so much that he's put into the world and so much writing that he's done about compassion, self-compassion, and compassion for others, about empathic capacity that we as human beings have to feel the pain of others, and that those are really, really powerful ways to overcome some of the darkest times in our life. For him, it was when he was burnt out. It was his compassion and ability to overcome, to look within and be compassionate for himself and his patients. That really was his treatment for burnout.
Compassion for yourself.
Yeah.
That came on my heart too this morning when I woke up. It's just, we have to learn to be kind to ourselves. I have a couple of dear friends that remind me of that when I start, you know, going into my mode of thinking I'm not doing enough. Am I, you know, what can I do more? And I'm hard on myself, and I mean, I'm much better at it, but that's what I find, and that's what I felt like sharing. Compassion for yourself first.
Absolutely. And we all are that, right? We all have
Yes.
perfectionistic tendencies. We hold ourselves to such high standards. And what happens if you have these high standards, right? Meaning that you want to do things just so, you want to have control of your life, you want to have control of many aspects of your destiny. And then here suddenly this thing comes and we have no control and we're thrust into this deep uncertainty. And how do we come out of this? How do we make meaning? How do we use it to elevate ourselves? You know, those are like the questions, and it's hard.
My pastor Gary Zamora said this morning, this afternoon when it was his morning in LA, about how it's through the darkness that everything is born. We hear that a lot in our Kabbalah practice also, but he said, you know, how do you plant a seed? You have to put it in the deepest, deepest, darkest soil, water it, nourish it. And that's what I feel like we are having this time to do now, is water and nourish ourselves in what may appear like lockdown, shutdown, closed in darkness. But what we plant right now is what can blossom to create a whole new world and a whole new vision.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And out of this darkness, right, when there is that kind of energy, when the net energy of so much negativity is, or death energy essentially exists, there's also life energy. There's also creativity energy. The two go side by side. Where there is death, there is rebirth. So right now we are being reborn as a people, as a nation, as really a spiritual community. And that's really the question. Who do you want to be on the other side of this? What do you want to leave behind? What parts of you need to die in order for other parts of you to be born?
Yes. You know, Anna, this is so good. And I hope y'all on Instagram, tell your friends to tune in, because we've got a 5-step program that we want to help people with. So if you can, let folks know that we're live on Instagram, and we're also hopefully on Facebook
Yes.
and YouTube right now recording this. This is Marla at her best technologically. Thanks to some help from Sophia. But I really, you know, Anna we talked today about 5 different steps, and what did you name those steps again, Anna?
Yeah, so the first step is gratitude, right? Because essentially we have to start to see the world anew. And it's really easy if you just keep listening to the news and also hear just the terrible things happening. It's easy to go down into that spiral. We've all probably had moments or even days of that during this pandemic. But then you have to step outside and see there's so much more to life, and you have to start seeing the silver lining and ask yourself that question first: what am I grateful for? So gratitude. The second step is transforming fear to love, and we can give you some techniques for doing that. The third step is service. Who needs your help right now? How can you be of service to others? And whenever you feel that I'm just so overwhelmed, I can't do any more, rather than saying, you know, if you're a spiritual person, you can say, God, help me, I need your help now. But instead of saying that, say, God, how can I help you right now? What do you need from me?
How can I help you? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And then the fourth step is really from Frank Gabrin that we mentioned, is compassion for self and others. How can I show more of that? And then finally, the fifth step, which perhaps is even the most powerful of all, is forgiveness. Who in my life do I need to forgive? And how do I need to forgive myself? What do I need to forgive myself for, so that I can move forward in this world unhindered and unobstructed by resentment, by anger, by hatred, and whatever else holds me back in life?
Yes, that's beautiful, and we could spend a lot of time on each of those.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had a few people reach out to me earlier this morning that I hope are watching, because there are tools, and you can reach out to Anna and I both. We'll do our best to our direct messaging on Instagram, and I know you have a website, Anna.
Yes, I have a website, annayusim.com. Exactly. And you can DM me here. You can on Facebook, anywhere else, of course. And we'll give you some tools of how to deal with these uncertain times.
Yeah, and I'm at marlamaples.com. No, I'm not. I'm at marlamaples.com. But yeah, someone asked me, it is right now, what time is it here? 8:23, and it's very, very dark outside. That's why I'm sitting next to my big lamp. Is it better like that? No, I think I need the light. We all need, oh dear goodness, what have I done?
Right. And I keep moving around because both Marla and I are doing this on our computers and on our phones simultaneously. So I'm trying to get like the right angle in both, and it's hard.
Well, we're really trying to connect to everybody as much as we can, because this was really on my spirit this morning. And I'd like to hear if any of you have questions let us know, like, what is it that you're feeling? What do you feel when you start to go down that path of depression? There's a question box on the bottom at Instagram where you can type in questions for us if you have any specific questions, because I think it's just a great time right now to go deeper inside, because I'm blessed. I was born loving God. I mean, that's where I turned. And you and I met on the spiritual journey, didn't we?
We totally met on the spiritual journey. I remember it very clearly.
Was it a Passover dinner?
It was at a Passover dinner,
Yeah.
and then we connected multiple times thereafter. Like, I just remember feeling like, you know what? I was sitting at one of the Kabbalah services, and I'm like, I have something I need to tell Marla. And I remember coming up to you like, Marla, I really don't know you very well, but I have this message for you. And then after that, we had our dinner together at Candle 79. We went to China together. Here we are. And,
Yeah.
you know, a million things in between. And then here we are.
Absolutely. So I like to think that I'm a doctor, but I'm really not.
You are a doctor of the spirit. Oh my goodness. The wisdom that you have, Marla, it's not something you learn in medical school. You're born with it. And you also learn it from all the spiritual practices and your spiritual path that you've been on for many years.
Thank you so much. But I do like to surround myself with people like you, dear Anna, who've had the education, but also, more importantly than what you might have learned in medical school, is what your heart has learned along the way. And
definitely right. And you contacted me, Marley. Like, the first thing you said to me, like, there's this crazy statistic: antidepressant prescriptions have gone up 34% in the last month.
Right.
And it's not at all surprising. Everybody's so scared and anxious, and that creates anxiety, depression, insomnia, distress, a million things, right? And so for a lot of people, that means up your antidepressant dose. And that's certainly one way to deal with it. Absolutely. It's not a bad way. If you've been on meds, sometimes you need to up your meds, or you need to adjust your dose to the situation. And then some people, you know, for both of us, we know plenty of people who will feel that and who are like, you know what, I either don't want to go up on my meds, I don't want to be on meds, I want to get off my meds. What else can I do? And so that's why we came together today to offer you a whole bunch of other ways that you can deal with some of these emotions, whether you're on meds or not, that, you know, will be able to help you elevate your spirit and deal with some of the difficulties that you might be encountering here in quarantine.
Right. And I see we have a question here. I think this is someone that you know. How do you not allow negativity or loneliness to overpower at this time?
Hi, Janine. Thank you for the question. That's a wonderful question. So, okay, to be clear, loneliness is a huge risk factor for anxiety, depression, insomnia, distress, for just about everything. And intentional social contacts are so important to lift one's mood. That's been shown in every single scientific study. And so if, you know, we're in a space of social isolation where we have to be isolated, we don't have a choice, you have to go out of your way to really try to connect with the people you love, schedule the Zoom calls. And all of us have experienced the Zoom brain drain, where we stare at a screen for so long and we're like, I've never stared at a screen for so long in my life. And also communicating with people. There's something, you know, having a person in a room with you that's so different from being with them on Zoom. But you know what? This is what we have right now. And in order to keep each other safe and keep everybody else safe, this is the way that we have to connect. And so you have to go out of your way to be social, and to the degree that you need. I also have, you know, a number of patients right now that are like, I am happy as a clam. The last thing I need is to be around people. This is making me rethink my whole life. I don't think I ever want to go out of my apartment again. I realize that actually all my life I've had social anxiety, and now it's down. I feel calmer every day. I have a number of patients who are saying that. So there are people thriving in this environment, and thank God for that too.
That's more where I'm at right now, but my heart goes out to those that are having a difficult time.
For sure.
I was born an only child, you know, and that I learned how to be creative on my own. And I've always been a super achiever. So, that means I don't always feel like I've had time to get anything accomplished. So having this time to organize life, and yes, but having to go into a place of trust with God that maybe, you know, you never even knew you had before, where you really do know that this is happening for the world, for an incredible transformational purpose. It's beyond COVID. It's beyond politics. It's beyond everything. This is our chance for a global transformation. And I'm just praying that we learn to stop judging and hating, so much. I mean, it's not, I mean, that's an individual choice. I mean, that is up to every single
Yes.
person. And we can't judge those who judge either. You
Absolutely,
know?
absolutely. And judgment will help nothing, right? At the end of the day, right? Judgment kind of keeps us stuck in this world of duality, and we want to transcend that, because judgment means you're bad, I'm good, you're right, I'm wrong. And yeah, okay, it kind of makes me think of people often for couples therapy will come and they're trying to tell me I'm right, but she's wrong, I'm right. And the motto is that you can either be right or you can be in a relationship. And that's really the thing with, most times with judgment too. You can either be right and then put the other person down and see them as below you, or you can just see them as another person on their life journey doing the best they can. And that's a
Right.
position of non-judgment and a position of love, and to really see them as someone in need of compassion and having the same or very different but pains and vulnerabilities and weaknesses and strengths and ways of sharing light that you do.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Because we all are made different. We've all had different pasts. We all have different soul purposes on why I believe we came into the world. But God created all of us in His divine image, and that means that you're as important as I am, or Anna is, or anyone else.
Exactly.
And it's about you trusting that you are unique. Don't try to be like me. Don't try to be like
Exactly.
Anna. Be the best version of you.
Exactly.
That's what's the most important. And I see somebody saying, "Yeah, we're becoming the best cooks ever, aren't we?" Though
Yeah, yeah.
that is that's also a benefit, but comes with that a lot of dishes to wash. So I'm fasting for 5 days, and it's great. I'm not having to deal with dishes.
It's beautiful. But like to what Marla's saying, they say compare and despair, right? Whenever you look at another person, there's always someone who's going to seem to have it better off, someone who has it worse off. But people often say that, if you were to get in a circle with everybody else and you were to put all of the good stuff they have in their life and all the bad stuff they have in their life together, and then you can choose anybody else's stuff, most people would usually choose their own stuff. It's the stuff that it's the stuff you've been dealing with. And at the end of the day, everyone struggles with something. There's nobody who seems to have a free ride or has it that easy, even though it might appear that way on the surface. And sometimes, Instagram is all about presenting this perfect image, but it's not like that. We're all human beings struggling and striving to do the best we can, and everyone has their stuff. And so being able to look within and work on your stuff and not ever judging others and, not succumbing to compare and despair.
Right, right, absolutely. And like I said earlier on a post I did this morning, it's like, oh my gosh, if you're going through that, reach out to someone you know, one friend. Everyone has someone that loves them or that they love. It's okay to share that. Don't be embarrassed by it. I have a bevy of 10 to 20 girlfriends that I love so much, and some guy friends
Yeah.
that they know that as much as I try to share my light with people and share the smile and energy, on the other side there's things that I go through too. So I have those people in my life that I can go to. So I just really, I want to know that you do have someone, and God is, another good thing is throw yourself on your knees before you get thrown on your knees.
Beautiful. That's beautiful, right? And that's the other thing, right? So what do we have to do at times of such uncertainty? That the other, we had a 5-step process. The thing we didn't put there is surrender. Sometimes you have to surrender, and there's so much power in surrender. It's like what Marla's talking about. You put yourself on your knees and you say, you know what? I have control of a few things here, but my control is really limited. And usually the control we think we have, sometimes it's even an illusion of control. There is something greater than us. And if we could just surrender to that and believe that that force is a benevolent force that has our welfare at heart, our life starts to shift. You're able to trust, and then your life opens up a little bit more.
See, I love that. I love that. Let me check for a couple more questions. I'm sorry for putting my
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
my
yeah.
body in the other camera, but we're
Yeah.
getting a
And
few other
I saw a good
questions.
one. I saw a good one, Mara, about intrusive thoughts and OCD. Because I
Oh,
feel
good.
like that, yes, I've had a lot of patients tell me about this because they're in quarantine. And they're at no other time have they found themselves with themselves and their own thoughts so much as now. And so what happens if you're a little prone to OCD, the obsessive thoughts start to go over and over and over. And the thoughts could be thoughts like, when will this ever end? What's going to happen to my job? I'm alone. Will I ever find my soulmate?
Yeah.
Whatever process you had, it just gets exacerbated. And yet, on the other hand, what often happens with obsessions or neuroses is at times when we worry so much about our survival, like during the Holocaust, actually neuroses and obsessions went way down because the survival issues were so great that people didn't have the energy to put forth towards the obsessive thinking. But not everyone's affected by COVID in the same way. And a lot of people are totally safe, thank God, and are really just quarantined in their apartments with a lot of obsessive thoughts. And so what do you do with those? Yeah, it's a really, really important question. And I've had a lot of patients, come with that. And so I think the key thing for something like that is you have to take that energy and you have to channel it in other ways. You have to first, of course, recognize that this is an obsessive thought. You can recognize its importance in your life and ask, okay, if this thought is motivating action, what will be the action it motivates? But then beyond that, if I wasn't obsessing about this, what would I be focused on? What would I be thinking about? So what's kind of the adaptive value of that obsession in your life? And then the other things are, as soon as you start to obsess, you start to do one of the 5 things that Marla and I mentioned earlier, which is gratitude, self-compassion, transforming fear to love. And we can give you a few strategies for all of those.
Yeah, that's beautiful, sweetheart. And I'm happy you could answer the question, and we can answer more. I sometimes during this crisis, I felt, I can tap, I'm a bit of an empath, and I can tap into feelings and emotions very easily of others. But for this, my first thought is, how can I help? Really, how can I help?
Mm-hmm,
If we are really going to be in lockdown, how can we help? And we need to have more solutions for people on how to build their immune system to make it through these times. And so I've been working with so many top functional doctors who've been having success with the COVID treatments, and we're trying to gather the information together, just to not just to share it on networks, but also with people in power, so that there are other solutions that they know of and can try. And we have to learn how, God willing, I just pray that Big Pharma will be open to working with others who are finding solutions that help build the immune system and aren't causing other issues that often drugs do. You and I have talked about so much. Someone is asking, how do you get someone out of long-term grieving? Oh, that's a get down on your knees and pray one.
Totally right. And this is the other thing with this situation, right? There is unprecedented levels of death and grief here. Unprecedented, depending on where you are. But even if it's not in a community that's affecting you as directly, you just see it on the news all the time. We've had over 50,000, or just about that, people die here just in our country. And that's, a fraction of people who've died in the world, and in such a short time. So there's a ton of grief. So how do we work with grief? I mean, there's, the researcher Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, she wrote about the 5 stages of grieving, right? Like, 1 is denial, that this didn't really happen. This person isn't dead, or this part of our life hasn't been taken away. 2 is, and the mnemonic is DABDA. So D is denial, A is anger. So whenever you're grieving, to welcome those feelings of anger. They're a normal part of grieving, and they're healthy, and you need to get those out. B is bargaining. Bargaining is not quite accepting that whatever is dead has died, whether it be a person or an opportunity or the state of our society. And so bargaining, sometimes you bargain with God. God, if you bring this person back, I will change. I will devote my life completely to you. Bargaining. And then the second D, DABD, is depression. You start to feel the sadness of the grieving. And then A, the last, is acceptance. Eventually you accept it. And then some people will actually add another stage, and that's meaning. You have to create meaning of the grief in order to let it transform you, in order for it to be something that becomes an essential part of who you are and makes you stronger and builds your character, makes you more resilient, essentially.
Yeah. And those are all wonderful. And it just really, what I do is I when I'm deeply challenged, when something comes at me that's takes me out of my peace, okay, immediately, Creator, God, please show me what this is there to teach me. I mean, it's
Beautiful.
how you twist it
I love
around.
I love
That's part of our learnings from Kabbalah too. It's like, what is it that I can learn from this now? Because I'm going to trust that this is in my life for a reason and for purpose. I'm going to like take that in and accept it, and I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to allow myself to wait and allow the real answer to come from you. But to keep moving forward, in that, and know that, you know, so many people are there with, you know, like husbands maybe they haven't got along with for years, you know, kids that may have problems with the different, you know, sugar addictions, ADHD, you know,
Mhm.
what do they do? And so a lot of people are really, really challenged in that way. And this is the time that you're going to have to dig into your very best to really be more patient than ever, be more understanding, and trust that everyone in
Yeah.
this world is really trying the best they can. But the first thing you do is get out of your own way, right?
100%, 100%. And that's so powerful, Mara, because at the end of the day, like that's really the main thing. Like if we can get out of our own way, life opens up, but it's our own stuff, right? And what is that stuff that we need to get rid of? Often, you know, Kabbalah will say it's manifestations of our ego, like the many manifestations of ego, including our anger, our hatred, our jealousy, our pride, our need to control, our impatience, whatever that is. It's times like this, which are going to heighten all of those feelings, that are the best times to really try to just move beyond that in your life and to like release that stuff from your life, to do your best. And no one's a perfect human being. You're never going to release this stuff completely. But when you do, you recognize it and then you ask for the help that you need for it to also be taken from you. Because we can do our part, but also if we ask for help from above, from God, whatever you believe in, it just helps the process and makes it much faster, more thorough, and smoother.
Right. My mom, who passed away about 6 years ago, has been just showing up in my dreams so much, and we were just having so much fun in my sleep. We were just running
Mhm.
and playing and laughing, and I just so appreciate it because those times, I read something this morning. It's like those memories that you think are memories is really your loved ones coming there to support you and be there for you. So I know we have guides, you know, we have people that have loved us that aren't even here that are really showing up in certain ways. And we just have to be open to those messages too,
That is so,
right?
so beautiful. Right. And this is like, you know, views of conceptions of death. Like I've had a number of people lose loved ones during this crazy pandemic. And one idea is that the people never leave you, that they're actually always with you and they become your guardian angels and your spirit guides. And you can tap into them in the same way, Marla, that you're describing. And it's just so, so beautiful. I love that you've been having, you know, these connections.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes. And you know, when you're here a lot, you know, you want to reach out to those. I have pictures of my mom, my grandfather, all, you know, I've been so many people I love have transitioned in the last 5 or 6 years, dear friends, close friends, and we just have to remember there's just a veil between us. You know, we just can't
Exactly.
quite see beyond the veil. But maybe now during this time, we can start elevating together in a place where there's less space between us and them, and we can have a higher connection and do more to bring heaven on earth.
I love it. I love it. To make every day a day of heaven on earth. It's something that my friend Maureen St. Germain always says. And I think that's so beautiful. And as much as you can go and pierce that veil to connect to the people who have passed, your guardian angels, you can do that for anything, for your purpose, for questions that you have in life, for things that seem uncertain. And whenever, especially, you feel bereft and completely confused, you just go into that space. And that space is a very powerful, it has a powerful opening for transformation, especially at times like this.
Right, right. Thank you. I'm going to check. Can you see the questions there kind of easily?
Yes, let's see what questions we have. I've been seeing a few of them. There was somebody who wrote that they have somebody who is living their life right now primarily at night, and is that normal? And so, yes, insomnia and changes in one's sleep habits as a function of intense anxiety, it's certainly not uncommon. Is it the most healthy thing? Well, I think conditions like this can lead people to change their habits in big, big ways. I was just talking to a patient earlier today, and she's like, you know what? So my husband and I, after I work, I have usually I have maybe a glass or two of wine. Now I have 5 glasses of wine every night. And then I wake up early, and usually I'll go to the gym, but now I'm quarantined and I can go on my Peloton, but I don't. And instead I just start working in my PJs. And then by the time I'm done, at the end of the day, I go have more wine, 5 glasses. And these are my new habits. And so it's so easy for this to happen because this is just your new normal, and it's not, you didn't choose this situation. You didn't choose to be quarantined. So it's so much more important to be very deliberate in the habits that you're creating and to recognize it. And when you find yourself going into habits that are less healthy, talk to your friends, talk to your doctors, talk to whoever, and just shift it. So this person, if, being up all night, for some people, they're nocturnal, it works for them, it's not a problem. But for most of us, we want to, rise with the sun and set with the moon. It's a more natural cycle. So,
are they in law school, out of curiosity?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I have someone very close to me that's nocturnal and will admit it, my daughter, and it breaks my heart. It scares me. I worry. A dear friend of mine, Rachel Justice, says, you have a choice, either worry or love them. So I'm choosing to love her, not worry so much. She's in exams. This would be, her commencement would have been in mid-May from law school.
We're sending love to Tiff, sending lots of love.
Yeah, so much love to her, but that's how she's worked, because she will study all night long. She will not give up till she's got it done, and then she'll sleep for a couple of days to make up for it. Thank you. I love Tiffany too. Wait till you guys get to see more of her when she's finished with law school.
Absolutely.
She's going to do more than just law, I promise you.
Totally. I relate to that. I relate to all the late nights for medical school, for residency. And it's like you have to. It's like you're willing to do what it takes to get through. And sometimes that means compromising your, the quality of your life and your mental health. And thank God I'm way past that. But my heart so goes out to these young people who are doing everything to accomplish their dreams and to live a life that is meaningful to them.
Yeah. And those people that are asking about different immune supplements, I will make a separate, I'm just going to list them again, because I've done separate things on my Instagram stories and different posts. But I think a good idea is I'll just put everything together that I find helps, and some that is helping my daughter also. And in the next few days, look for me to post on that with the links to these companies. So I do a lot on my Instagram story. That's fun, but maybe I'll do it on the post also, and on Facebook, because it is important. We have to learn how to build our immune system, and how we eat is our medicine too. So I just know there's certain things that you want to do in the mornings and certain things at night to get yourself into a calmer state. And of course, the exercise is important to making you feel more restful at night. So, just anything you can do to get your heart rate up is really important, because it'll get the hormones going in a way that you will be able to have a more peaceful sleep at night too.
Absolutely.
And Deepak Chopra taught me years ago, go to bed at sunset, wake up at sunrise, when I was studying with him and learning many, many years ago. And it's hard for me, because I did Broadway for years. And as a film actor, you never know what your hours are going to actually be. So you've got to kind of be able to move with it in any way. And we used to travel a lot. So we would be dealing with the, European time, the California time. So you move around a lot. But right now, I wake with the sunrise. I feel it. I acknowledge it. I thank God for it. And I go back to sleep for a couple hours, because I'm usually up till 2 a.m.
I love that. I love that. Right. And that's one of the it's thank God that you're getting sunlight, right? This is one of the hardest part of the quarantine is we're not getting sun. We're cooped inside. We're used to being able to be in nature, to connect. And here it's like taken away from us. And so that alone, could lead to anxiety, depression, things like that. So
yes, and we've known how important it is to really, vitamin D is one of the most important things for mind, body, and soul. And that's why finally, I'm glad that my ex-husband is bringing up, and some of the people working together are bringing up the importance of humidity, and they'll talk about light therapy, but truly, what is light but vitamin D? That's how vitamin D gets into your system. So we have to be able to get out during the day, even if we're still social distancing. Go out and find yourself some sunlight. Truly, it's God's gift to us, and it will make a difference. And you can also find vitamin D3 supplements that are helpful in the meantime also, and they help with different chronic illnesses too, that some of the things that I've gone through in my life. Mary Ruth makes a great one, and so does Pure. I know I use Pure encapsulates a lot, but we'll make that list. Hi, Jackie Jordan. Yes to sunlight. So, and there's a lot that can be done to help people, and I see people giving some wonderful, wonderful suggestions about in the morning. Yes, I try to balance out my system and get alkaline in the morning by having, especially if you're drinking wine. I'm not drinking wine at all now. I haven't had any desire for any alcohol actually. Since Passover, we drink 4 glasses of wine, and that did me in. But and the Lord's Supper, I take a little sip, sip, sip on a Sunday with my pastor too.
I love it.
Online, a little prayer in connection to the Christ energy. But otherwise, hot water and lemon, and a spritz of Himalayan or Celtic sea salt for minerals. So that and a touch of baking soda, I find helps alkaline the body really, really well to start. And so sorry, somebody says that my wire men texting me late at night. I don't know. I don't have any men texting me late at night. It's my wonderful guy friends, friends.
Right.
Yeah, cucumber is great too. There's so much to do, and I do a lot of turmeric. People were mentioning that. That's so important. Sometimes I will just blend it up, and if you have a coffee, sometimes I put ginger in it. Ginger and turmeric, and I do mushrooms. I have a company that I can share with you later that does all the healing mushrooms in your coffee. I don't think anything's wrong with having a cup or 2 of coffee a day. I just think don't overdo it. Don't do it to a point that you feel anxiety, and then you need to go sit your butt down and do some more meditation and deep breathing, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Totally, yeah. And for mental health, like the supplements, scientifically it's been shown B12 helps a lot. If your B12 levels especially are a little on the low side or low normal, still B12 will boost your mood oftentimes and give you more energy. Vitamin D, just like Marla said, that's been shown for all across the board for all sorts of mental health conditions. Folate, and especially methylfolate, if you happen to have, there's a specific gene, the MTHFR, if you have one of those genetic variants, methylfolate is a better version than folate. And omegas, and whether it's be Nordic Naturals, Pure Encapsulations, those are some of the best things that you can do supplement wise. And I think right now with immunity, vitamin C, we've been
lots of vitamin C. I take 1,000 every morning, no matter what, milligrams.
Me too.
Yeah, good. Well, we've had a lot of friends go through Corona and make it through, haven't we?
Exactly, including myself and my husband. We went through Corona and we're on the other side, and we're so happy we're done with it. And one of the things, this is not evidence or science-based, but one of the things that made both my and my husband's fevers go away when we had Corona was we got IV vitamin C infusion of 10,000 milligrams. We had a visiting nurse come to the apartment and actually give us IVs of vitamin C. And then the next day our fevers were gone. And that was, very effective. And there's been a lot of questionable reports. There's been some studies it's been helpful, other studies it's not been helpful. And I think that right now the data on the majority.
Yeah, we're just going to do this because they're censoring it a little bit.
Yeah.
Vitamin.
Yeah.
Or is it this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I'm not saying that the science says that this is good, because it doesn't yet. That's not the case, but it helped my husband and me as we were dealing with our own Corona episode. And we're so happy now to be done, to be on the other side, and thank God for that.
Oh, thank goodness gracious. We had a lot of friends, and I was never tested. I had a few days I didn't feel great, but we had a lot of friends that had it. But thank gosh, most of them have come through it, very well. And I know Jesse had a very difficult time for a while.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, my husband, we even had to go to the hospital for a few days. He had to get oxygen. And so it was just crazy because it was so scary, because you don't know what direction this disease is going to go. It could get better, and he didn't need to be in the ICU. Thank God. He didn't need to be on a vent or anything like that. Thank God for all that. But it was, and also we were so lucky because this happened way before, like right at the beginning of the whole New York experience. And so the numbers weren't rising yet. My husband was able to get into the hospital, have his own room, have the doctors give him attention. And that wouldn't have been the case, because when he was discharged, the doctor said to him, had you come with your presenting symptoms now, you wouldn't have even been admitted. And so for me to think that my poor husband, who was actually having trouble breathing at the time, wouldn't have even been able to get hospital care. But that's actually what's happening to so many New Yorkers. And so it's so sad and so scary. And thank God the numbers are trending down. We flattened the curve, but still between 300 and 400 people died today. you know, in New York City. And so that's in the last 24 hours. So even though we're flattening the curve and the numbers are going progressively down, the numbers are still way, way, way too high.
Yeah, I'd like to also see, you know, how those figures stand compared to other diseases that we have that we've not been in lockdown for, because I know the numbers of diabetes, heart disease, cancer are much higher than what we're seeing with corona. It's just, it's an unknown to the medical world, so it feels like a higher risk in many ways, but the numbers have been quite higher throughout history on other diseases. So, you know, we can't forget that people are healing in all different levels, and I just hope that we can start having that human contact soon again, because that is so good for the soul, and again, nature. And
yes. So. And I just saw Jeffrey's art studio wrote, Marla is a mood booster to me. And I wanted to second that, because she's a mood booster to me too.
Oh, thank you. How sweet. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad we can tune in and do that a bit. And it's just been so great to have you, Anna. I'm gonna try to save our Instagram, and we're here, and we can do this more often if you like.
Definitely.
Go on to each of our websites and sign up for updates, so we can keep you informed on ideas that we get in the middle of the night, early in the morning.
The best ideas come in the middle of the night.
And just listen to your own. I mean, that's how God speaks to you. Sometimes you wake up in the middle of the morning, you don't know why, but maybe there's a message that's meant to come through that can be helpful to you and to others.
Love that.
Thank you all. Let me just check. We've got 5 more minutes. Let me just see what other questions are there, because I don't want to leave without answering.
Yeah, I think that because they go so quickly, and I, on my phone, I'm only able to see 1 line at a time. So 3 people write at the same time, they just all go. So I can't really follow them all.
Yeah, I see quite a few here. They'd like for us to post those five tips that you gave.
Yes, we'll do that. We can post that, and just to go over them again.
And someone's asking, how do you recharge as an empath?
Oh, that's right.
Okay,
yeah.
So I literally have an exercise that I try to remember to do every time before I go outside, and it's a meditation that I've shared before. I have to see where it's at somewhere. I've saved it, hopefully on my YouTube. But I imagine myself like connecting to the upper worlds, as I'm like the strong crystallized energy coming from the heavens, straight through the top of my head and all the way down through the depths of the earth. I'm giving you a quick version of it now, and it just connects my upper self with myself here on this planet. And then I create a protective shield, like a light force shield. I mean, mentally just visualize this light shield around you, above you, and below you. And when you walk in the world, just say, God, please let me walk with light and be a light to those that I may approach, but also create a protection where those that aren't of the light that can help you on your path aren't having a negative effect on you. So, and that's why being home and recharging is usually so good for me in a normal day in New York. You know, I have to really fight to have time at home. So in this time, it's literally making sure, set that clock and meditate at least 15 minutes and create that protective shield around you when you go out, and you know, be willing to listen to people's thoughts, but and gather and see how you can help, but you can't let it attach to you. Is there anything more you would like to share about that, Anna?
Yes, I think that everything that you're saying is right on, and it's really about creating those protective shields and boundaries, whether those shields are energetic in the way that Marla's doing it, so really using the force of light to protect you, but also if you're an empath, to create really good boundaries in the physical world, meaning, you know, what's a boundary? A boundary is really the answer to the question of how close is too close and how far is too far. You want to be able to get close to people, but without getting so close that you feel as though they're sucking your energy or that they're exhausting you or draining you. And different people have different levels of tolerance for that. Some people can get close to a lot of people and never feel drained. Other people, if they're empaths, they're very sensitive to the emotions of others, and they're going to take on other people's stuff. And so if that's the case, you have to know that about yourself and set really good boundaries, meaning limit how much time you spend with people, limit who you spend that time with. When you do feel drained, be very aware and either go and wash your face with cold water, or go and create the energetic boundary that Marla's talking about, or just say, you know what, I'm done for today. And a psychiatrist who writes a ton about this is Dr. Judith Orloff. She's a friend of mine, and she's amazing because her whole life has been devoted to understanding empaths and how they can function better in this world.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and that is something, Anna, you know, you've been with me at times where I'm like, I gotta get away from the crowd.
For sure. We both feel that. Exactly.
We know that feeling. Yeah. You give a speech, you give a talk, and people are wonderful, but you've spent the time preparing for what you're going to share. Then you have to know how to protect your energy from there, and it's okay. And for me, I can't be worried about being the homecoming queen every day to everybody. You know, it's okay.
Totally.
Even you have to protect yourself to be able to get back out there in the world and not worry about everyone loving you.
Exactly. We can't please everyone all the time, right? As much as we try, as much as we want to, and right, because otherwise, because we have a certain energy to share, and like a certain amount of energy. And for anyone who is a light worker and a healer, you have to remember that you can't heal others unless you take care of yourself first. And so you always have to fill yourself up and do a lot of self-care, because if you're drained, you're not going to be much help to all the people who are depending on your light. So absolutely.
And that's not selfish.
No, it's actually the greatest act of self-love.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to thank you, Anna, for pulling away. You've been so busy, I know, and thank you for coming in tonight. Oh. You were my first phone call where I'm like, you want to do this? You're like, absolutely. You were on my mind too this morning.
Yeah, I woke up and I'm like, I got to reach out to Marla. And so there it is. Boom. We're connected. But I feel like we have this thing, and it's a beautiful thing. And so thank you so much for being able to do this together. And I look forward to many, many more.
So grateful, honey. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to save this on my story, and then we will hopefully push it back out on your Facebook and other ways to share.
Awesome.
Dr. Yusim, thank you so much.
Thank you, Marla. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
God bless everybody. We really, really love you. Really keep your hearts connected to each other, okay? We're never that far apart.